Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Nerds Only podcast. You are here with your hairiest host, Mother Goose.
And your inconsistentest host. Did I say my name before? I can't even remember it. I'm your inconsistent host. I appear and sometimes don't appear. So what are we talking about today?
The host with no name.
What did I name myself? Like Cosmar?
I think you have been going by Cosmar.
My name's Cosmar.
Cosmar kind of sounds like Cosmere.
Oh, like the Brandon. Wait a second. No. Here, let me drop some quick lore so that people aren't like, oh, you just copied Cosmere. Listen, Cosmar actually means nightmare in Romanian, which 14-year-old Josiah thought was really cool. And 18-year-old Josiah still thinks it's kind of cool.
Hey, 27-year-old Mother Goose also thinks that's really cool.
Thank you.
Maybe that's what I need is like I've been looking for a new name for almost as long as I've been doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I just need to start looking into Romanian things.
I was like looking up stuff. At the time I was infatuated with Dream. I was like, oh, what's the opposite of Dream? Oh, it's Nightmare. I'll just do Nightmare in Romanian because I'm half Romanian. It all worked out. A little, with all the new stuff with Dream past few months. Past year? Anywho, I'm getting off topic.
Well, so today we had a different topic, but we're going to hold off on that till next week. So surprise topic, Citadelle des Morts.
Oh, how did I know? No, I'm just kidding.
It's almost like I was just watching you play 5 minutes ago.
It's almost like you just watched me get all the elemental swords by myself.
It's almost like we've been obsessed with zombies for several decades now.
So good.
Actually, not quite several decades, but almost. 2008, right, is when World at War came out?
That is when World at War came out. I don't know which one it is.
Oh my God. Getting so old.
Oh, we got bro at unk status over here.
Listen, it's not my fault. My sisters decided to have children when I was so young.
I'm just messing.
I've always been an unk.
You're rising to your potential as unk now.
Real. So this is the newest Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Zombies map. It just came out last week. How we feeling about it?
I love it. The atmosphere is incredible. Wonder Weapon's phenomenal as well. The only complaint is that it's just so difficult. There's so many places to get stuck in and so many hallways to get just swarmed.
Yeah, it does seem very, very tight.
Yes, very much so. There's only like 2 or 3 legitimately good training places I've seen so far, and all of them are fairly small.
Yeah, my favorite, personally, I think would have to be the, like, underground pool area.
Yeah. I've kind of found that the area right in front of Speed Cola, that open plaza type place, has been really good for me.
Oh,
but
nice.
the pool is also really good as well.
Yeah.
It is just so easy to get trapped. It's ridiculous.
Real. I'm going to be honest, this map feels a lot smaller than I was expecting. Now, I will admit, I have only played once, and I've watched Cosmar play. I've probably watched you play longer than I actually played myself. So maybe there's a section of the map that I haven't gotten to yet, but I feel like I've explored pretty good.
Did you get to Pack-a-Punch?
Yes.
Okay. Well, then I think you did get all of the map. There are 2 routes to Pack-a-Punch, so unless you...
Yeah, I opened up both those bad boys.
Okay, I kind of agree a little bit. I think it just feels very constricted. Like, Terminus was so wide and open and large. This map definitely feels like even smaller than No, actually, I take that back. It's not smaller than Liberty Falls. But it has that same
close.
feeling.
Yeah.
It has that same feeling of I can get everywhere I need to go pretty quickly.
Yeah, which I want to be clear, I think this is my favorite map out of the 3 we have so far.
Most definitely.
But I was a little, I'm not going to say disappointed, just shocked at how small it was.
Definitely was Well, it wasn't hyped up to be like a big map, I guess, but like I can't cite any sources for this, but I was kind of hearing like, oh, it's gonna be like Origins, where there's the 4 elemental staves, but instead it's swords now,
right?
stuff
Or
like that.
Der Eisendrache, which I think I pronounced incorrectly. Don't worry about it. But that one was also a castle with elemental bows.
Yes, and it was like huge maps. So it definitely was. I was expecting basically Der Eisendrache, or however you say it, where it was like huge. And so when I played it for the first time and saw how like kind of small it was kind of like a shock of, oh, I thought this was going to be a really big, huge map.
Yeah.
Because the other 2 maps were kind of leading up to this one.
Right, which Terminus, I think, is one of the biggest maps they've ever made. But there's also a lot of open water area, so...
Yeah, I could see how it's like big in square footage because of they have to include the 4 islands and the sinking ship.
Mm-hmm.
But the actual main island, I feel, isn't super huge.
Yeah.
It's definitely bigger than Citadelle des Morts, but still.
But I think what I'm really loving about Citadelle des Morts and, I mean, just BO6 in general is I feel like they're on the right track to getting that zombies aesthetic back. As much as I loved Cold War, it really did not feel aesthetically like zombies. It felt like multiplayer.
Oh, most definitely. That's why I only played the first map, I think, that came out in Cold War.
Die Maschine,
yes.
I think, yeah.
That's the only one I played because I played a few rounds of it for a few days, and I was like, this doesn't really feel like zombies, which was fine. It just wasn't for me. I was kind of looking for that older zombies feel, which I feel like they definitely are, especially with the newest map.
Yeah.
It feels like a really good mix of old zombies, kind of that aesthetic, that feeling with new.
Yeah.
Of like, oh, complicated Easter egg, funny quips from the characters, convoluted but really cool storyline.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think they're doing a really good job of transitioning it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think if they keep on this track and just every map, kind of works at getting that aesthetic back, I think we could have some of, and this is all speculation, but just some of the best zombies maps we've ever gotten.
I agree. I didn't play a lot of BO2 and I played none of BO1, but I did play some BO3 and didn't play BO4 Vanguard.
Mm-hmm.
But at least from what I played in BO3, like I'm loving these maps as much as the old ones.
Yeah.
And I feel there's so much potential for them to release something incredible. Because they're already doing really good so far. It's just none of them have been necessarily better than Origins or any of the classics. But I could definitely see myself being like, okay, this map they just made is my favorite because they did such a good job on it.
Yeah. And I think, so if we were just to rank the games right now off of aesthetics of the maps, I think that I would probably put BO6 like somewhere right in the middle, like above definitely World at War and maybe even Black Ops 1, but definitely below BO3, BO4, and BO2, sorry.
No, you're good.
And I also, I was thinking about how I forgot Cold War. Cold War is definitely below this one.
Yeah, Cold War may be at the bottom.
Yeah. Great maps, just aesthetically they were multiplayer maps.
Yeah, it was just, I think it was their first foray into the whole new zombies.
Mm-hmm. And, sorry, this is not a Cold War episode, but in its defense, they really got screwed over with timeline. Raven Games was supposed to be I think that was 2020, maybe 2021 game, and they weren't going to be ready, and Cold War was looking releasable, so it got released instead. So the fact that the fact it was even as good as it was, I think is a testament to the devs' like love for the game.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of passion in it. It was just definitely new.
Yeah.
And not because it was, I guess, rushed. I didn't know about that, but that makes sense.
Yeah. Which, in its favor, though, for this game, meant that it got a 4-year cycle. So, like, Cold War, they had 2 years to develop it.
Mm-hmm.
BO6, they had 4. So, double the time, essentially.
And they're doing incredible so far.
Yeah, it shows.
Yeah, it's been amazing.
Let's talk swords.
Ooh, I love the swords.
I don't know if I know all the swords, so why don't you run us through them, what they do, and what's your favorite?
So there are 4 elemental swords. Unfortunately, I don't know the actual names of them. There's the dragon sword, which is the fire ability. They're all elemental swords. There's the stag sword, which is lightning.
Ooh.
There is the lion sword, which is light.
Okay.
And then there's the raven sword, which is like dark or cosmic energy, I suppose.
Hell yeah.
But so the stag sword like shoots out a beam of lightning, which is crazy overpowered.
Mm-hmm.
The fire sword shoots out 3 fireballs. The light sword or the lion sword surrounds you in kind of a vortex that just chews through zombies, kind of like the jet gun a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. Sorry. Which one was that again?
The lion sword.
The lion sword. Gotcha.
And then the last one, which one was I? I've said
the raven. I think.
Raven.
Yeah.
It just makes like a wall of. I haven't gotten to use it yet. At least from what I've seen from clips, it makes like a wall of just cosmic energy, I guess. And if zombies walk into it, they die.
Ooh, hell yeah.
Another thing to add is the incantations that each sword kind of has. The only 2 that I know of are the lightning and the light ones, which the light ones you can use to like heal yourself. And so that's really cool. And then the lightning one's just like basically dead wire, but it feels a lot stronger.
Hell yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, they have been so fun to play with. And the fact that you can, if you want playing solo, you can get all 4 swords and kind of like change them out. And you can have any incantations you want at time that you do need the swords to unlock the incantations. Mm-hmm. It's a ton of fun. It's amazing.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So which one's your favorite?
Oh, which one's my favorite? I think, man, it's honestly a tie between the lightning sword or the light sword.
Okay.
The light sword has a passive ability where if the sword's fully charged, whenever you hit zombies, it just refills your shield, which is incredible. Mm-hmm. And then the lightning sword has the passive ability where if it's fully charged, it's just dead wire whenever you swing it.
Yeah.
They're both just so aesthetically cool, too.
Hell yeah. I think this is the second time we've gotten a sword. Though the only one I can remember is the Shadows of Evil sword. And I guess technically in BO4 you could use Takio's sword, but that, I mean, you could just bring in. It's not something you had to go find.
Mm-hmm.
And this is our 4th time having like a elemental weapon. We had our staves in Origins. We had the bows in Der Eiserdracher. And then not really elements, but we did have the different versions of the ray gun Mark II in Alpha Omega. I was going to say tag, but that was not correct. In Alpha Omega, which gave, again, not elements, but could change it into a beam weapon or a shotgun. So based on our like 4 different version elemental wonder weapons that we've gotten, 4 weapons, 4 maps, how do you feel this compares to the others?
So my knowledge of the others is extremely limited. I think I played with the bows a little bit under Eisendrache, and I played with the staves a little bit as well. Mm-hmm. I never played with the different versions of the ray gun, but with my limited knowledge, I definitely, which this is extremely biased because I played with the swords the most.
Yeah.
But the swords, I feel, are just, you can parry with them. Basically, they just have a lot of mechanics.
Yeah.
Which is nice. They each have their own quote-unquote ultimate ability, which fills up. They each have their own passive. Like, they each have a separate toolkit for each of them.
Yeah.
Which, I may be wrong in this, so don't hold me to this. But with the other ones, it may have been more as just, it's either different skins with slightly different abilities of, like, fire, lightning, either, like, spreading or chain lightning for the staves, though I don't remember super well. The ray gun Mark IIs sound cool, though. I've never played with those, so it might be better than the swords. But at least from what I have played so far, I definitely think the swords are the best because of just how much range there is.
Yeah. The ray gun Mark II, I like them because they add some variety to your play style. Mm-hmm. But I don't think they're as good as like the staffs or the bows.
Yeah, it definitely lacks that like elemental old not magic, I guess. Like there's definitely that feel, I think, for the staves, for the bows, for the swords of like this, it's this ancient artifact that I get to use that controls the powers of nature.
Yeah.
Which might be missing with the ray gun Mark IIs.
Right. And sorry, we're discussing, I just remembered a couple others. There are some in non-Treyarch COD zombies, but Cosmar and I, we're Treyarch boys.
We don't go outside the Treyarch nation, okay?
Yeah, there are some cool ones that I'd like to try at some point, but I just can't speak on them. But then there was the Ancient Evil Gauntlets as well, which I can't believe I forgot about them, but I think they are probably my favorite. And my favorite one out of them, I don't remember what it's called, but it literally, like, you summon a pool of blood and, like, hands reach out and, like, kill the zombies for you.
Gosh.
It's so sick.
Was that in Vanguard?
That was in BO4.
BO4? Okay. I kind of wish I played those looking back. Like, it sounds like there's some cool stuff in there.
Yeah. BO4 got a bad rap because Bobby Kotick made some really bad decisions. I think that one was kind of rushed as well. There was a lot of issues at launch. They didn't market the DLC very well. There was supposed to be 12 maps, and then they only got 8. I mean, just like issue after issue after issue. But what we did get, especially the Chaos storyline, was super solid.
Yeah.
So we've kind of talked map layout, and we've talked wonder weapons. We have not talked about Vulture Aid.
Oh, Vulture Aid.
My sweet baby has returned.
Vulture Aid. He's back and in black, baby. Oh, I guess yellow. I don't know.
Just talking design of the perk machine, though, looks way cooler than the BO2 version.
They knew they had to upgrade that boy.
Yeah.
Make him look spectacular.
Every time I run into that room, you know what it looks like is somebody's like hands are strung up like in a Y shape and they're hanging down, and like the vulture skull for Vulture Aid like makes the body. Like every time I run in there, there's a split second where I'm like, oh my god, there's a hanging body, and then I'm like, oh no, it's just Vulture Aid.
It's just Vulture Aid. Oh, I like that guy. I like that guy.
It's a different dead thing.
Yeah, it's a vulture. It's okay. It's not a dude. Oh yeah, no, and that entire room is just incredible. But yeah, walking in there and seeing my boy Vulture Aid, it's like, I know things are gonna be okay. You know, it's comforting.
Yeah, real. No, super glad it's back, and that gives me some hope for Double Tap, which Double Tap has been gone for a while, and it has been in the files since it disappeared. So just because it's in the files now doesn't mean it's coming back. But Vulture Aid was also in the files, and this got leaked, so maybe we get Double Tap back.
As much as I would love Double Tap back, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. They incorporated the rarity system now. You know, of like gray does less damage than green and so on and so forth.
Right.
Like having a legendary triple-packed, double-tapped gun, that just sounds insane.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played a lot since the more like the season 1 patch and the reloaded patch. But at least pre-season 1, I just felt like round 30, 35, there was a huge drop off in power that I think really spiked the difficulty to an unfun level. And I think Double Tap could save or help mitigate that, in my opinion. But you've played more since these patches have come out. How is the game feeling now?
That's fair. I'm more of a low round guy. I like to get all the cool things, do the Easter egg, and then exfil. So I'm not super. I don't have a ton of experience with the high rounds, but at least like right now, if you focus on upgrading your gun's rarity and packing it like every 5 to 10, I'll say every 3 to 5 rounds.
Yeah,
you're completely fine. At least for me so far. It's only when I don't focus on rarity and packing not as quickly as I can, like before round 10.
Yeah,
is when then it's like, oh, the damage is not enough. But I have heard that like once you get past round 35 or into the higher rounds, the damage output is pretty rough. I'd be more okay with Double Tap if it was only like specifically to the Wonder Fizz machine that comes in round 25.
Ooh, that would be, yeah, I like that idea.
I think if it was like that, then I'd be more okay with it, because just getting Double Tap early, it would it would make it feel too easy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I see that. And you know, something they could do is we have Double Tap 1.0, which just increased your fire rate, and then Double Tap 2.0, which also doubles your damage. Maybe they could mitigate it being too easy by the augments. Like maybe the generic effect is the 1.0 effect where it just increases your fire rate. And then one of the augment abilities is doubling damage. And that way players can kind of pick and choose if they want that ability.
That is a really good idea. There's a lot of stuff they can do with the augments, actually. I think if base double tap was pretty weak by itself, then yeah, I could totally see it making sense, like game mechanics wise, of not being too overpowered too early.
Yeah. Well, also, story wise, Easter egg wise, how are you feeling about it?
I actually haven't. I usually do just watch the stuff, but since I'm getting more into zombies now, I am actually waiting to beat the Easter egg myself before I look at the cutscene.
Nice.
So I actually don't know yet. I've heard some stuff about Richtofen. I'm staying away from spoilers.
Nice.
I will get back to you on that.
Hell yeah. Maybe next week we'll do next week episode I think is going to be a full topic.
Yes, that will be a from start to finish talking about a certain thing.
But maybe the one after that we can do a little update. Because
Go ahead.
I think at that point I will definitely have played more.
Oh, that'd be really cool because I'll definitely by then have a pretty good grasp of the story so far. Because I usually have to watch like 3 30-minute videos to understand what's going on. It's like, what? Who's this craft guy? What's this sentinel they're looking after?
Real.
But yeah, that would be good. So far, the story leading up to Citadel Daymore, I love it.
Yeah.
I love the combination, or the weird combination of chaos, this chaos storyline, and the...
I was just about to bring that up, yeah.
Yeah, like I think they did a really good job there. I'm really happy with it. It has that same level of mystery of like what's going on, and there's these magical powers that we don't really understand. It has that same feeling of the old games when it comes to the story. At least that's how I feel, and I'm loving it so far.
I've said it before, and I will say it 1,000,000 times. If the Chaos Story maps had the Ultimus or Primus crew on them, people would say they were the best zombies maps of all time.
I could definitely see that. I can definitely see like, because I hear those maps are pretty good and like
so solid.
The story seemed interesting. At least it seemed they replaced Ether with Chaos and all this different type of stuff.
Yeah, so story-wise, we had the Aether storyline, and then we had the end of it and the beginning of the Chaos storyline, and the Chaos was supposed to be our new storyline going forward. And there was, BO4 was a mess. As much as I love it, it was a mess. I understand why people were mad, but I really think they made a bad choice switching off or away from the Chaos storyline and going to the Dark Aether storyline. Because we've talked about it personally, and I don't think we've ever mentioned it on the show, though, that, the main Primus crew sacrificed themselves to save the universe. And the Chaos storyline was supposed to be completely separate, not in the multiverse, so that their sacrifice at the end actually meant something. We could still have a completely separate storyline. But now with the Dark Aether, their sacrifice doesn't really mean anything because, zombies are still here terrorizing people.
Yeah, it is kind of they got out of the cycle. They banished the Apothecons and the other people. I forget the sides. But, like, they got rid of all of it in the new universe. But, yeah, the zombies are still here, which I wasn't huge on the Chaos storyline when it first came out, which I think is mainly just because of like, it's new zombies. It's the bad zombies.
Yeah.
That I felt at the time.
Old good, new bad.
New bad. What, a woman in the crew? Ooh.
Yeah, there's never been a woman in zombies before.
Oh, what? What are those the BO2 maps? Was it Victus? Was that their crew name?
Yeah, it was Victus, and then there was the Call of the Dead crew.
Yeah. And Shadows of Evil.
Yeah.
I don't like any of those teams. Only Primus.
Only Primus.
But I definitely, the Dark Aether storyline, I understand how it can be frustrating because it does kind of minimize their sacrifice,
Yeah.
but it definitely pulled me back into it because I was really interested. Like, oh, Richtofen and Samantha are now in this new universe.
What are
What are
they
they gonna
doing?
do?
Yeah.
You know, and now it's interesting now that they're bringing the gods from Vanguard. At least I think they're
Yeah.
like from the Chaos type of storyline.
Yeah, Vanguard was a prequel to Cold War, and now we got a little hint of the Chaos storyline in Vanguard being added. And then in Terminus, sorry, I couldn't remember if it was Terminus or Liberty Falls, we got like a very direct, okay, the Chaos storyline is connected to this storyline.
Yeah.
And saying neither of us really know much on Citadelle de Moore's story, we can't say how much the Chaos storyline is connected, but I would guess pretty heavily.
Oh, yeah.
And my whole point to bringing up, you know, the end of the Aether storyline, Chaos, Dark Aether, is to just say that I'm really happy the direction they're going of bringing the Chaos storyline back in, because it had some really cool roots, and depending on how they do it, I think the payoff is going to be really good.
I agree. I think there's so much potential for a really great game and a really great story, which I actually wanted your opinion on real quick because I know there's the idea of that you don't want their sacrifice to be worth nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But I also remember there being a lot of kind of like a bad taste left in everyone's mouths when Ultimus and Primus just ended up killing each other.
Yeah.
And that was the ending. Like, oh, so they just have to commit suicide.
Mm-hmm.
So I was curious, like, so did that opinion change of like, okay, this story, I understand what they were doing, I like it more, or were you more of, even at the start, like when you first saw it, you're like, oh, this is good, I like this a lot?
I've never been the biggest fan of it, mostly because we never got the Great War. And originally we were, so like I mentioned earlier, BO4 was supposed to be 12 maps, and we only got 8.
Oof.
We were supposed to get the Great War.
Mm-hmm.
We were supposed to get an Atlantis map for the Chaos storyline.
Ooh.
I don't know off the top of my head what the other 2 maps are. They may not have even ever been revealed what those were. But for sure, a Great War and an Atlantis map. And I just think there was a lot of negativity, at least in my heart, over how it was treated. And I think if we would have got to see the Great War, we would have gotten to see the complete cycle, because that's really the big piece that we were missing. I don't think it would have stung as much, because there was so much buildup for it. And not only did we not get it, we also just got these really like bad PowerPoint cinematics.
The slideshow.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So this may not or I hope this makes sense, but I do like the story. I like that they sacrificed themselves to save everyone. I don't like how it was presented.
I agree entirely. Like just like watching it as a YouTube video, I was like, yo, the story is amazing. I love this so much. And like hearing about it from everyone, it's yeah, I could definitely see like, wait, that's it?
Yeah.
That slideshow as opposed to the animation we'll be getting for other maps. And also they're just all dead now.
Yeah. And I will say this with my chest. Tag der Toten is one of the hardest Easter egg maps I have ever done.
Yeah.
That one was really well done, but also just so hard to finish, at least for me personally. And that also kind of stung a little bit. Like, you go through so much, and it's just like, that's it?
Here's a slideshow where all your favorite characters kill themselves.
Yeah!
What do you mean you're mad? What? This isn't what you wanted?
Real. It happened, and I still a little bitter about it, but I'm moving forward, especially now that we have BO6, and I feel like they're kind of back on the right track again.
Oh yeah, I was really happy when they did it because I do understand the sacrifice, but man, I was just so disappointed. I was like, the answers the sacrifice makes sense. It really does, and it's really good. I was just really happy to see that the storyline was being continued. I was like, oh. I don't know if they'll be brought back or not. I don't know if they should be brought back. They probably shouldn't. But it felt good that maybe that action they took would have a larger, like more of a butterfly effect maybe, or like more impact.
Yeah.
Possibly. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. So before we move on to our other topics for today, I think the last big thing we haven't talked about that I'm aware of is the new enemy type.
The Doppelgast, I believe it's called.
Yeah.
That thing, it's just annoying. It's not hard to kill. It's really easy to kill, actually. All it does is stun you. I think if it does touch you, it can harm you. But, like, it is just... It's definitely not a bad enemy type because of how easily they're killed.
Mm-hmm.
So it is just kind of a hindrance. But if you don't kill them at first and you leave them roaming around on the map, they'll turn into amalgams.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
There's this really cool animation to where like they just stop and they start sucking in other zombie parts, and it turns into an amalgam.
Hell yeah.
So I think that's cool. It's just they usually die before they can do that.
Yeah. I think, so my first time I fought one, I shot it about 2, maybe 3 times with my shotgun, and then realized I had no ammo. And I also had 730 points, which the new start room weapons are 750.
Ooh.
And I was out of grenades.
Ooh.
So I kind of just had to run around, and I knifed a couple zombies. This was like 4 or 5. So it was two knife hits to kill. So definitely manageable, but I was sweating.
Yeah, if you have no ammo, that thing would be terrible because it's so fast. And if it does touch you, it does hit pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So if you have to get close combat, it's most likely going to lose.
It was just the like, I've never fought this thing before. I don't know what its abilities
What's
are.
happening?
Please help me.
The stun effect is super cool. And I love the kind of that fear factor of, oh my goodness, everything's slowing down and the colors are all whack. What's like the first time it happened,
Yeah.
I liked that feeling of, I'm a big horror guy, at least horror games.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, this is incredible. I was freaking out. I was like, what's going on? Is he about to one-shot me? Like, is this the amalgam thing, but worse? Turned out it was not nearly as bad as the amalgam, but it is still like that jump of just almost like a jump scare, but not as much face value, like immediately at your face, for lack of a better word. More of like, oh my goodness, I'm stuck. That kind of scare, which I just love so much. You're being chased by zombies and then you're just stuck and it's like, oh no.
You know what zombies needs? You were talking about the horror aspect of it, and Minecraft just did this. They need a weeping angel-like enemy where it can only move when you're not looking at it. Which in zombies, you're shooting at it. If there's only 1 or 2, it's not going to work because you can just look at the 3 coming at you and shoot them. But if there's like 10, 15 of them and they're coming at you from different angles, that could be really good.
You could have those instead of the vermin and pests for the dog rounds. Which are just so annoying.
There's one more map with manglers in it.
Oh,
I'm gonna riot.
The manglers are so cool, but so difficult to kill.
They're so overused,
I
and
know.
while I really like their kit and fighting them, one of my big issues with new bosses or mini bosses for the zombies is they interrupt the train flow.
Oh yeah.
Which does add to the difficulty, but after a while it just gets kind of annoying. Like I want to get into a flow of killing, and I just can't because every few minutes my entire train is knocked over by a mangler or a mimic, or the amalgamation pulls me into the train. Or
I know the amalgamation is great, and the grabability on paper is so cool and so scary, but man, it sucks so much because of the whole point of zombies, or not whole point, but like one of the main strategies is to, run the trains around the map. Like that's how you survive high rounds. But if you have an amalgamation, like you said, pulling you into the trains, there's not much you can do.
yeah,
It's it's cool, but it's also like,
wait,
go ahead.
no, you finish. Sorry.
Honestly, I really do hope that in the future maps they kind of went mangler and abominations, and they went amalgamations and abominations. Actually, no, it was manglers and
mimics.
And is that what they're called? The amalgamation. Sorry.
Yeah, amalgamation. Which the amalgamations are like mimics light. The mimics from Cold War, obviously they had their mimic ability, but they could still grab you and pull you in like the amalgamations did.
I didn't realize mimics was I forgot about the mimics from Cold War.
Oh, no worries.
But I hope they've been kind of making, like, there's no manglers in Citadelle anymore, and there's no abominations either. Really hoping in the future maps maybe they kind of get out the amalgamations a little bit. You know, keep the if it was abominations and the gas is what they're doppelgas or just gas.
Yeah.
That would be incredible. The amalgamations just
Yeah. Yeah, I think old zombies really shined because every map either didn't have special zombies or had unique special zombies, excluding the like dog rounds. There were a ton of dogs, a ton of I know they were called jumping jacks in Die Rise, but they had an official name. The like crawling things with they didn't have eyeballs, but they had the huge mouths with the teeth.
Interesting. I'm trying to
They were
remember.
in Die Rise, obviously. Then they were in Keener die Toten was the first one they were added in. They would explode, and the gas would come out of them.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I can't
Yeah.
remember them like physically for some reason, but I do remember mechanically that happening.
Anyway, I miss maps where like there was a special zombie and this was the only map you got to fight it on. Like Call of the Dead, one of my favorite maps. You fight George Romero, only map you get to fight him on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think when all of the special zombies in the entire game are in all of the maps, it ruins the flow just a little bit and makes it feel less unique.
It really does. I do wish I like the mini bosses a lot. I really do. It is. I just wish they were all unique to the maps.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what I was like. Oh, Manglers are going to be unique to Liberty Falls, and then amalgamations will be unique to Terminus, and they're bringing back abominations for both. That's completely fine.
Yeah.
But now that amalgamations are in Citadelle des Morts as well, it's like, oh, dang.
Yeah.
God, I was really hoping, we could get which we did. We got the Doppelgast, which is fine. It is a good enemy, though quite annoying. But it is kind of rough that, the amalgams are still here too. I do wish there was a little bit more of uniqueness and some more separation between the special zombies and the maps.
Yeah. Well, before we move on, anything else you wanted to talk about, Citadelle des Morts?
No, I don't think so. Great game. Shout out to Mr. Waffles. Man's a lifesaver. I love that guy.
King.
Yeah, our Black Ops king. Thank you, Mr. Waffles. Okay, we can continue now.
Okay, so this next section will be short and spoiler-free, but I did want to talk Wind and Truth, Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight 5.
They're all dead. No, I'm
They
just
were
kidding.
all actually aliens the whole time.
What?
With 3 Peebuses.
Turns out they all were polyamorous and all fell in love with each other. And they all hold all the shards in the Cosmere.
Maybe Adenasium was the friends we made along the way.
This truly was our Cosmere.
What are we? Some sort of Stormlight archive?
Oh, man.
Okay, so we're 100% going to do a spoiler cast whenever at least we're finished, and maybe our other co-hosts are finished, just depending on when we do finish.
Mm-hmm.
But just for our audience, 2 questions. What chapter and day are you on, and are you enjoying it?
So I'm on day 3. Chapter, I don't have a specific name, but I'm on a Adolin chapter. Adolin, sorry. What day are you on?
I am
wait, it's spoilers free just regardless.
Yeah. Spoiler free for us and the audience.
I am loving it. It is the character conversations, the build-ups continuing. We're learning so many cool new things. Phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Sanderson's doing an amazing job.
Yeah, real. I am just about done with day 2. I have... Actually, I just started the last chapter on day 2 like an hour ago.
You didn't finish it?
Day 2?
Day 2?
Not
You didn't
yet.
finish the last chapter?
Mm-mm.
Oh, man. There's a little mini Sanderlanche in there for you.
Oh,
It's
no.
kind of funny. It's
Oh,
like, what is
no.
happening right now?
Yeah, I'm a little worried about it based on what happened the chapter before. I also am really loving it. So I listened to Stormlight first, and then I went back and did Warbreaker, Mistborn Era 1, Sunlit Man, Secret History, and the first book of Mistborn Era 2, and all of those are phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
But man, after listening to those and then getting back into Stormlight, like this is definitely his best work so far.
Oh yeah, I usually, because people ask like, "Oh, Brandon Sanderson, what do you read first?" All that, I usually tell them, "Well, Stormlight is his quote unquote magnum opus as of so far. Like it is just, I definitely recommend reading Mistborn first to get acquainted with his prose and how his story kind of flows, because it is a little jarring, in a sense, and jumping straight into Way of Kings, which has so much to it.
Yeah.
Which can be really overwhelming if you're not really prepared for it, and you can put the book down pretty easily at the start.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's book 5 is incredible.
Yeah.
All this build up of all these book series coming to a culmination in this single book is just crazy.
Yeah. And again, no spoilers, but I had a really interesting comment on one of my TikToks I made while we were at Dragonsteel. And somebody essentially, they'd already finished the book, and I asked them, I was like, no spoilers, how much am I going to cry at the end? And they said, I'm definitely going to need to go to therapy, but I can't talk to my therapist about it because I don't want to spoil it for them. And I don't know if I'm ready.
Oh man, I was tearing up day one.
Yeah.
Due to the events happening there, which weren't sad. It's all in preparation for things to come. And I was like, I care so much about these characters. I've spent the last 3 years of my life with these people. And now it's very likely most of them are going to die.
Yeah.
Like, it is. I honestly don't think I'm ready for the end of that book. I'm going to be crying my eyes out because people die. It's part of life, I guess. And Brandon Sanderson's just a jerk to his characters. It's good writing, but man, he's mean.
Which, for those of you who don't know, Stormlight is going to be a 10-book length series. However, 5 is the end of the first arc, and then 6 will be the beginning of the second one, and there's about a 10 to 15 year time jump between them. So even though, and again, no spoilers, I don't think either of us really know anything major yet, because we barely started the book, but just being the nature of this is the end of the first arc and there's such a big time jump between book 5 and 6, I don't think anyone's safe.
Oh yeah, there's pretty much every main character we know, other than I think Renarn may have been confirmed to be in Era 2 of Stormlight, which I don't know why they still describe it as eras, even though it's only 15 years apart.
Right, because Mistborn, they're eras, but there's like between Era 1 and 2, it's 300 years, and then Era 2 and 3, it's going to be about 70 to 80 years. You know, that's a way larger jump than 10, 15.
Oh, yeah. I think it might be because maybe they'll have extreme technological advances with the Fabrials, maybe?
Oh!
But
sheesh! Yeah. So no spoilers for... I would say we'll do no spoilers for all of Stormlight here.
Okay.
Some stuff happens in Rhythm of War, though, that really advances their technology. And I think you're right on the money. With one book and such massive jumps, right. I mean, 10, 15 years, yeah.
Like, who knows? I mean, that's the only reason I could see why it's still described as eras. Because I was like kind of in shock when I first heard it was only 15 years. I was like, what? That's really short time.
Okay, I was thinking about it today. And this is purely speculation, just a theory. Gavinar?
Gavinor.
Gavinor. He's what, like 9-ish?
I think he's 5.
5-ish?
Which, or at least from what I've read in the book, he is 5 years.
Okay.
Or I think he calls himself 5 at a certain point.
Gotcha. Which, I mean, all the books take place along a short amount of time. So he probably is still 5, maybe at most 6.
Maybe.
But I was thinking about if it is 15 years, that's going to put him about 20.
Yes.
So just pure speculation. If he survives, I could see him being a main character.
I won't say what the fan theories are, but have you heard of the fan theories?
I have.
I don't know, man.
That's why I said if. A big if.
If you're a big Stormlight reader and you know the theories, you know what we're talking about. And he's setting it up is all I'm saying. You know, there's been those lines of dialogue that are like clearly foreshadowing that. So I'm so worried.
Yeah. But yes, so we'll move on from Wind and Truth. Like I said, here in the next few weeks, maybe even months, it's a massive novel.
Oh yeah.
We will be doing a spoiler cast.
Oh, most definitely. I cannot wait to talk about this book. It is, oh man, it's incredible. Go read it. You
Real.
listening to this right now, go read it.
This is the Lord of the Rings of our generation.
Oh yeah.
I love fantasy. I've been reading fantasy almost all of my life. This series is going to be the defining fantasy novel, like Lord of the Rings was, for the next 50, 60 years.
Oh yeah. I think Brandon has done a good job of describing it as like they're the third generation of fantasy writers. First generation being Tolkien, then people who grew up reading Tolkien, generation 2, and then generation 3, just the ones who have grown up in kind of the fantasy, where fantasy's been played a pretty large role in media and fiction for quite a while now. I really do think like Brandon is definitely setting the precedent, if that's the right word, for fantasy books going forward.
Yeah.
Like this is that scope, the huge scope of it, and just how, because there's going to be Mistborn Era 3 and 4, there's going to be more Elantris books, there's going to be more Warbreaker books.
Oh my god, can we talk about Mistborn news?
Oh yeah, Mistborn 5,
yeah,
Cyberpunk.
Well, okay, so Mistborn Era 4 potentially may become Mistborn Era 5, just like how Mistborn Era 2 became Era 3 when we got our Western 1920s New York Era 2. We may get a new Era 4 that is Cyberpunk, and I'm so hyped.
That is the combination of magical systems like Allomancy mixed with cyberware and cyberpunk, especially with Brandon Sanderson is a very scientific-oriented magic systems kind of writer. Like all of his magic systems aren't like fantastical like Harry Potter. It's definitely more of, there's an actual science and reason behind everything, and there's certain ways you can manipulate it. If he adds that in with like cyberware and how everything's made of metal, oh my goodness.
Dude, Ferrochemy with cybernetic parts is going to go so hard.
It's going to go so hard. Insane. Oh, that dude's got gold platings. He might just be invincible. Might not be able to kill him. Who knows? Oh, and like the technological advancements, like just already the wonder, or not wonderfulness, more like the coolness of cyberpunk, where they have all the stuff that enhances your body, plus allomancy and Ferrochemy and all that different stuff. Like it would just be it'd be really difficult to do, but if anyone was going to do it, I think Sanderson would be the best bet.
Yeah, and hemalurgy too. Like,
yeah,
I'm curious how that's going to work. Like, obviously you have a cybernetic arm attached to your shoulder. How different is that compared to a hemalurgic spike? That's what I'm really interested to see how he handles, because with the Cosmere and Investiture, intent matters.
Very much so.
So is it the intent of the wearer, or is it the intent of the person who installs it? Like, if the person installing it is like, haha, I'm secretly installing a hemalurgic spike in their arm, ooh.
Right? And like, who's going to have shards by then? Which I won't say much more to try and avoid spoilers when it comes to shards and how that's relevant. But the one thing I will say, which is pretty spoiler-free, minor spoiler warning, just in case, if you're like a huge diehard fan and you don't want any chance of being spoiled, here's your quick warning.
Spoiler for what, just to specify?
Just the Cosmere in general. The Cosmere's inner workings, mainly.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
The god metals. I'll try to be as ambiguous as possible. Yeah, vague, ambiguous. Especially with cybernetic parts being, maybe there's god metal cybernetics.
That they make it, yeah.
Which, because by then, world trade should be a thing, because there's already interaction between the worlds. So, like, if you have different god metals kind of coming together, like, what would that look like, too?
Yeah.
There's so much cool stuff.
For sure. Well, I guess we could just say it now. We are going to be doing a full Dragon Steel Nexus podcast next week with the full crew, full gang.
Oh, yeah.
So I just was so excited. We had to talk about it a little bit, but we will definitely dive more into that and the Cosmere next week.
Oh, yes. This definitely next week is going to be probably a longer episode, honestly, just because of how much there was.
Packed. Absolutely stacked. Yeah.
And we fully filled out our World Hopper passport, okay?
We did everything we possibly could with the time we had.
And we got a badass pin for it, too.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did. We're world upward, baby.
Straight certified.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've got just a couple minutes left in the show. Have you been watching, reading, playing, anything else that you've been want to talk about?
Been playing mainly zombies, been reading mainly Stormlight. I have been watching I watched Princess Mononoke last night.
Nice.
And I liked it. I want to rewatch it.
Because we started it
Mm-hmm.
and only watched half.
Yeah, us
Sorry.
and the gang.
Sorry.
No, don't, like, we were all tired. Like, I was falling
Yeah.
asleep too, which was my struggle again last night, is I was falling asleep again. And I was like, no. So I kind of fought through it and stayed awake. So at the end of it, I was kind of like, that was good, but I don't necessarily see how it was everyone's favorite. I want to rewatch it, but I was kind of like, my opinion on this is very different than other people's, and I'm curious as to why. But I still loved it. It was still magnificent, still an incredible story, so beautifully drawn, just a work of art. Just wasn't like as, I guess I just expected it to be a little bit more because of how much it was hyped up.
Yeah. Yeah, hype can be a real big,
Mm-hmm.
a really bad thing if not handled correctly.
Yeah, I definitely think if I didn't go in with such a large expectation, I would have liked it a lot more. But I still loved it. I still thought it was amazing. But I definitely like Hal's Moving Castle more.
Yeah, I'm a Kiki's Delivery Service man myself.
Oh, those were so good too. Oh man.
Well, I'm really glad you got to go finish it. Is it because of Dragonsteel, Brandon saying it was his favorite, that you
Yeah.
decided to watch it?
Everyone was like, I love Princess Mononoke so much. Like almost everybody at that con. So I was like, oh, I have to watch it now. I've only been halfway through it. Maybe it gets like something crazy happens.
Yeah.
Which again, its commentary was incredible. Like
Mhm.
the whole relationship between nature and humans, and then having empathy for each other. Wonderful.
Yeah.
It just wasn't like, oh, that was the best thing I've ever watched in my entire life, which is kind of what I was expecting.
What it was
to be.
hyped up. Yeah. It is phenomenal, but I agree. I don't even know if I'd put it in my top 10 movies.
Yeah, I agree. Ghibli, of course, it's Ghibli's amazing, but as much like impact wise, like I could appreciate it for the art that it
Mhm.
is and really enjoy that. But the actual impact it had on me and how much it actually changed me was very, very minimal.
Yeah.
But still loved it. It is definitely a little bit lower on the list of things I've watched, though.
Yeah, which, we've done our 12 games you need to play before you die episode. Go check that out. We have not done like a top movies episode yet. We'll have to do that soon.
That'd be cool. As an aspiring filmmaker, I'd have some good movies, I promise.
Yeah. We've got good taste. You can trust us.
You can trust us. We're the Nerds Only podcast. We're nerds, okay?
Yeah.
We know what we're talking about.
I haven't held a woman's hand in I don't know how long, but I know movies.
Yeah, I don't need relationships, but I have movies. I'll watch them alone.
Well, I guess so. My thing I went in with a list of like 3, 4, 5 things maybe I wanted to talk about, but just because this week, I mean it, was probably the nerdiest week of the year. Dragonsteel Nexus, Citadelle Day More, the Marvel Rivals release,
Mhm.
Indiana Jones release. I know I said Dragonsteel Nexus, but technically the release of Stormlight 5, Wind and Truth. This week was stacked. So, for the sake of time, I will just talk about Marvel Rivals for a minute.
Mhm.
I really enjoy it. It's another hero shooter, which we definitely did not need another hero shooter, but the mechanics are hella solid. And it launched with, I want to say, close to 30 characters. So its roster at launch is almost the same size as Overwatch's roster, if I remember correctly.
Wow.
It's 6v6. There's no role queue, which is a huge argument right now. Some people want it. I actually feel pretty confident that at least casual play doesn't need role queue. If they want to put it on competitive, that's fine. But for just quick play, who cares?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. There are definitely obvious inspirations from Overwatch, but Overwatch also had obvious inspirations from TF2. Man, it's so good. And I think that it's going to have a really solid fan base for, I mean, maybe even a decade. I think people are still going to be playing this game.
Okay.
However, I do not believe it's the Overwatch killer that a lot of people are saying it is. And I also don't think this hype is going to continue. Like, I think we're in the honeymoon period right now.
Mm-hmm.
I think a huge section of the player base is going to drop off. But I do think it's solid enough that it's going to keep a consistent player base.
That sounds fair. I am curious, which, again, my source is Instagram comments, which you shouldn't listen to anything an Instagram comment has to say. But I have been hearing a lot of, oh, it's just Overwatch reskinned, which, again, it is a hero shooter. But I was curious, like, how does it feel? Because I want to try it out, but I don't want to try it if it's just going to feel like Overwatch reskinned, if that makes sense.
So a big thing is Overwatch is first person,
Mm-hmm.
Marvel Rivals is third person. And I think that helps the feel a little bit. I also think it makes buying cosmetics more worth it because you can actually see your character.
Yeah, for real.
The game modes are the same. It's a hero shooter. There's definitely a similar feel, but it's not exactly the same. And what I like about it is if you really love Overwatch, there are characters that you can play that's going to feel like you're playing Overwatch. Like, there are definitely characters that have similar kits to Overwatch. Like, Luna Snow, very... Oh, I've already forgot his name.
Soldier 76?
No.
Reaper?
The DJ. What's his name?
Oh, Lucio?
Lucio, yeah. It's very,
This guy.
Very similar kit, but also it's not a direct copy. So she has some similar stuff, but enough different to make her feel like her own character.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then there's other characters like Cloak and Dagger, who I've been maining right now, which are two characters that there's a button that lets you switch between them. So if I want to be Cloak and I want to be Dagger and I want to be healing my team, I can. Or I can hit RB, switch to Cloak, and then his abilities are all about either turning your teammates invisible or making it harder for the other team to see. So there's a lot of variety in that kit that I really enjoy.
That's cool.
And then, obviously, Jeff the Landshark is a king. He's the best. I would die for him.
Love him or hate him, you gotta admit, he's that guy.
He is him. Yeah.
He is him. Shark with feet.
It's going to feel like Overwatch. It is. I'm not going to lie to you. But it's different enough that it can stand on its own feet as its own game.
That is, I want to play it. I just don't want it to... I really... just don't want it to be, as long as it's not Overwatch reskinned, as long as it has some unique features.
Yeah.
I think that I can be like, okay, I can enjoy this.
Yeah, and the combos you can do are insane.
Okay.
Insane.
I've been considering getting it. I don't know yet. I don't know if I have enough space on my Xbox with Black Ops on there, but I may try it out.
Nice is it's free to play, so all you're going to lose if you don't like it is a little bit of your time.
Mm-hmm.
Or you may discover something you really love.
Yeah, the clips I've been seeing and the overall response to it has been really positive, and it looks fun. Like, it does look really fun being able to be different heroes and all that different stuff. And so many Jeff the Landshark clips of just team kills. It's hilarious.
It feels good. It feels real good. I love... Okay, we really got to end soon, so this is going to be my last statement.
Okay.
Jeff is a strategist, which is Rivals' version of support. And I love that they gave him this ability because it's very rare for a support character to get a whole team kill or a whole team wipe. And Jeff can. And yeah, that might seem unfair, but he's also a support character whose main thing is healing. So let the healers get a team kill every once in a while. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Let the baby shark just genocide your team, okay? Yeah. Let it happen.
But yeah, definitely try it. And I'm so sorry. I think that's all the time we have for today.
Oh, yeah.
But we'll be back next week with Dragonsteel Nexus. For Nerds Only, this has been Mother Goose.
And this has been Cosmar with one last message. Do something fun today.
Goodbye, Stinkies.
Goodbye, Pookies.